Hi, welcome. Today we're going to talk about the quarterly wrap up from the beginning of January 2026 to the end of March 2026. As I started my channel just in April, I thought it was still relevant to do this quarterly wrap up, mostly because I don't think I will do monthly wrap ups, at least for now. I think I'm talking way too much, so that if I were to do a monthly wrap up, I would feel obligated to give a synopsis for every single book and my thoughts on them, and then it would take 20 minutes per book, which is way too much. So I'm trying with this. Also, I do love statistics, so let's see. As usual, I have my tablet down here to refer to all the stats and everything, but I'll put the graphics as we go along so that you guys can follow. So let's talk about my goals and the progress for them. You haven't seen my goals, but you can see them in like one of the shorts that I posted either here on YouTube or on Instagram, but I will just go through all of them and we'll do this as we go along. So let's start first before the main goals with the challenges, because there's 2 yearly bingo challenges that I have been participating in and that I want to give you an update about. The first one is the Our Fantasy Reddit Bingo Challenge. It does start from April 1st to March 31st. So it just ended and I did post my TBR for the new one, but I did want to give you here an update about the last one, and I have managed to complete the whole board. You can actually see here the card with the books that I slotted for it. I did not complete hard mode, but I was not trying to. The second one we have is the Romantasy Bingo Challenge created by Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy. And this one started in November 2025, so it does run until October 2026. So I still have about half of a year left to complete this. And I think I am on track, more or less. I have completed 12 of the prompts. I say 12. I think I was a little bit loose in terms of what fits and what doesn't fit, as I realized that I don't read as much romantasy as I thought I was. If I can switch to another one later on in the year, I will. In those 12 prompts, I think 10 of them fit hard mode, only 2 of them don't. I certainly want to try and do the hard mode for every single one of them, so we'll see in another 3 months. And now we enter my personal goals as far as reading. One of the biggest goals I had was to, and that was the same as last year, to reduce my physical TBR, and I have accomplished that in the first quarter. I started at the beginning of the year with 65 books on my physical TBR, and at the end of March, I was at 56 physical books, 9 books down, which is really good. I think my goal for the end of June is to go below 50 physical books. And I think after that, it would be my end goal. As I am a mood reader, I don't want to reduce my TBR to 0. And I also have some series that I'm really in the middle of, so I might want to have more of the books in the series to be able to read them. Goal number 2, book series. I don't want to reduce that number. I just want this number to stay consistent, or at least not to grow up exponentially. So I'm keeping track of this to make sure that I read the series that I can. Incomplete series means that this is a series that I still have a few books that are out in the series that I haven't read and that I can read right now. I also have some books that I'm caught up on, but I won't show you the numbers right now. I might show you at the end of the year status progress for the book series overall or something if you want to see it and go through the stats of this. I had at the beginning of the year, on January 1st, 23 incomplete series, and on April 1st, I have 22 incomplete series. So we are keeping the status quo. I'm really happy about this number. I think I completed a lot of series even though I started new ones with this new year, so I'm pretty happy with this. And the third and main goal that I have after this is to read more books in French. As I read a lot of fantasy sci-fi and I was living in the US, I tended to read only in English, but I do want to make certain that I also read in French. And I think I have read a little bit more in French this year. Still not stellar, and I want to make it a lot better than this. I read 6 books so far in French. However, when you consider that only 2 of those were full-length novels, and the other 4 are a manga series, The Apothecary Diaries, that I started in French and I'm continuing in French, it is not as good. Not to say that manga reading is not reading. As you will see, because I included it in the stats, I do read a fair share of manga, but I don't want to have a month in the year where the only thing that I read in French is a manga. I still want to read a full-length novel in French, if possible. And the last 2 yearly goals are some priority series and my 26 books in 2026 list that I made at the beginning of the year. So I thought I would catch you up on this, as it also reminds me that it's there, because now is the time where I usually start to forget about those beginning of a year kind of book lists that I made, and I don't make as much progress on it, which you can actually see from the numbers. But the first one, the priority series for 2026, I give myself a list of 5 series that I wanted to complete by the end of the year, and I have completed 1 series overall. However, I completed that series in January, and since then, I have not read a single other book in these priority series. In terms of numbers, there's overall 14 books that I have to read. Since I've only read 2 books so far, that means that I'm only 14% complete in this goal, which when you're 25% of the way through the year, you can see the numbers. You can see it's not good. I should be at 25% if I was keeping up with this. So we need to make more of a progress on this one. Same with the 26 books in 2026. I have read 6 out of the 26 books so far, which seems pretty nice. And I have chipped away at this, and I think I made progress, but this is only 17%. So I also need to buckle up because this is not 25%, so I need to make more progress. Now we enter into the total stats for the year. So for the first 3 months of the year, I've read 32 books. In January, I read 7 books, with 5 of those being full-length novels. In February, I read 14 books with 9 full-length novels, and in March, I read 11 books with 8 full-length novels. I did add the DNFs for this. In January, I finished all the books I started, so I have none. But in February, I did DNF 2 books. However, these 2 are just books I put on pause, and I still have every intention to pick them back up at some point. But in March, I did DNF actually 2 books that I have no intention of continuing. I don't know what that statistics shows me, because if you compare it with the average rating for the month, you can see that in January I did not DNF anything, but my average rating is only 3.59. This might seem okay for you, but I would say that my average rating per year is usually between 3.7 to 3.9, and I don't think I ever went below that. So 3.59 for me is pretty low, especially if you see compared to March, where my average rating is 4.44. That was an amazing month. But also, I did binge my way through a series, Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, and I put 4 books in there out of the 5. I gave 5 stars. So that does skew a little bit the statistics. You can see also the number of pages for each of those months. It's really the number of pages I read per day, as I do like to track this in my reading journal. So these might be also some half of novels that I started and finished the next month. But you can see that it does track that I read the most in February too, as I read more than 150 pages per day, which is pretty good for me. And in terms of a number of the 5-star reads that I read this year, so far this year I've read 8 books that I've given 5 stars. Dungeon Crawler Carl in January, and that was my only 5-star. In February, I've given 3 books 5-star. We have Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett, Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation Volume 1 by Mo Xiangtan Chu, and Blood Over Brighthaven by ML Wong. In March, I've given 4 books 5 stars. Shortfall, which is the sequel to Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett, and 3 volumes of Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, volumes 2, 3, and 4. I only didn't give 5 stars to the 5th volume, simply because I was not really super interested in the extras, and those are about 70% of this final volume. So I think so far I'm happy about the number of 5 stars I've given. I'm also happy with how much books I've read and the diversity of my picks overall and most of my goals. I just think that I need to make more of a priority for the series that I wanted to finish this year, and also for the 26 books I wanted to read in 2026. I know some of these books on this list I have less of an interest to read now than 3 months ago, as I am a mood reader. I change my mind all the time, and that is okay, but I still think there's at least 20 books in those 26 ones that I'm still super interested in, so I should definitely pick them up. I think I'll end this video with telling you what my favorite book of this year so far has been. And it is hard to choose between the 5-star reads that I have because those are completely different picks. But I think I will go with Blood Over Bright Haven by Emma Wong, because I still do think about this book. Even though I read it last month, I still think about the ending of this book and all the things it made me feel and the discussions that it had. But I do have to say that Dungeon Crawler Carl is very much just below that one, and it might dethrone Blood Over Bright Haven later on when I continue the series, as so far I've only read 1 book in Dungeon Crawler Carl, so who knows what will happen with this. And I'm sure you will ask what my worst book of the year so far was, but I have to say this year so far has been stellar. I haven't given any book 2 stars this year, which I don't give a lot of 2 stars because I usually DNF before I know that it's going to be a 2-star read, because obviously for me 2.5 is really middle of the road. So if you give 2 stars, it really means that there were more bad things for you in the book than good things, which means that you're more likely to DNF it. I do have to say though that if I had to pick the most disappointing book for 2026, for me it would be Throne of Jade right now for the first quarter. This book is book 2 in the Temeraire series by Naomi Novik, and while I did more or less enjoy the first book, I didn't see the big picture coming, and I have to say I was really not enjoying the second book. So I think for me, I'll just leave it as a standalone with the first book in my mind, and that's gonna be enough for me. So with this, I'll stop rambling, I'll get to reading, and I'll see you in the next one.